Kunja Bihari Radha Madhava Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Radha Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivara Dhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivara Dhari Yashodanandana Brajadana Ranjana Yashodanandana Brajadana Ranjana Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivara Dhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivara Dhari Yashodanandana Brajadana Ranjana Yashodanandana Brajadana Ranjana Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Radha Madhava Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jai Radha Madhava Radha Madhava Radhe Jai Radha Madhava Radha Madhava Radhe Jai Prabhupada Prabhupada Prabhupada, 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 Prabhupada. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Prabhupada. Premanande. Jai Vishupad Paramahamsa Tri Vradyashaja Stotra Setta Sri Srimad His Divine Grace Shirabai Charanarvinda Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Skandibiti Founder Acharya of Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada Ki Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda Ki Harinam Sankirtan Ki Grantara Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Dainitai Govinda. All glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to Sri Guru and to Sri Gauranga, all glories to Sri Prabhupada. Om Agyanatimirand Gyananjana Salakayan Taksurinbilitam Jena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Jena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Tita Padakamalam Sri Gurun Vaishnavam Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Ram Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Sri Vishakan Vitamsya Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpati Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kantana Gourangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sutidevi Pranamami Hari Priye Vansakalpa Tarubhyasya Kripa Sindhu Vyaivacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narotamam Devim Sarasatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudiraye. Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is our very means of conquest, let us first offer respectful obeisances unto Narayana, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, unto Narayan Rishi, the supremmost human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and unto Srila Vyasadeva, the author. Nasta Prayesha Badreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Tamashloke Bhaktir Bhaviti Naistiki. By regularly hearing the Srimad Bhagavatam and by rendering as service unto the pure devotee, all that is troublesome within the heart becomes destroyed practically to nil, and loving devotional service unto the Supreme Lord, who is praised with transcendental songs, becomes established as an irrevocable fact. Idam Puranam Brahma Samhita Utamashloka Charitam Chakara Bhagavan Rishi Nishreyasaya Lokasya Dhanyam Swasyayanam Mahat. This Srimad Bhagavatam, known as the Grantaraj, the king of all literatures, is compiled by the incarnation of God, is the literary incarnation of God, compiled by the incarnation of God, as Srila Vyasadeva. It is meant for the ultimate good of all people. It is all successful, all blissful, and all perfect. Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Sri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Surabhyaya Namaha. Om Surabhyaya Namaha. Om Surabhyaya Namaha. Mukam karoti vātanam pāṅgum langayate girim yatkripatamaham bande Sri Gurum Dinataranam yatkripatamaham bande Sri Gurum Dinataranam. Continuing from Canto number 1, chapter 6, Conversations between Narada and Vyasa. Today we're doing text 24. Keep it here. Text 24. Yeah. Matir Mai Nibaddheyam Na Vipajeta Karhichit Praja Sarga Nirodhe Api Smritish Cha Mad Anugrahat Matir Mayi Nibadheyam Na Vipadeta Karhichit Prajasaraga Nirodhepi Mritischa Mad Anugrahat Matir Mayi Nibadheyam Na Vipadyeta Karhichit Na Vipadyeta Karhichit Praja Sarga Nirodhepi Praja Sarga Nirodhepi Smritischa Mad Anugrahat Matir Mayi Nibadheyam Na Vipadyeta Karhichit Praja Sarga Nirodhepi Smritischa Mad Anugrahat Matir Mayi Nibadheyam Na Vipadyeta Karhichit Praja Sarga Nirodhepi Smritischa Mad Anugrahat
Matir Mayi Nibadiyam Navipadyeta Karhichit Raja Sarga Nirodhepi Smritischa Madhu Anugrahat
Matihi
Mati
intelligence Mayi Na never Vipadyeta separate
Separate
Karhichit
Karhichit
at any time
anytime
Praja
Praja
living beings
Living beings
Sarga
Sarga
at the time of creation
at the time of creation
Nirodhe
Nirodhe
also at the time of annihilation
also at the time of annihilation
Api
Api
even
even
Smritihi
Smriti
remembrance
remembrance
Cha
Cha
and
and
Mat
Mat
mine
Nine
Anugrahat
Anugrahat
by the mercy of.
by the mercy of
Translation and purport by Divine Grace C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki. Intelligence engaged in my devotion cannot be thwarted at any time, even at the time of creation as well as at the time of annihilation. Your remembrance will continue by my mercy. Kind of repeat after me. Intelligence engaged in my devotion
Intelligence engaged in my devotion
cannot be thwarted at any time,
cannot be thwarted at any time,
even at the time of creation
even at the time of creation,
as well as at the time of annihilation.
as well as at the time of annihilation.
Your remembrance will continue
Remembrance will continue
by my mercy. Purport. Devotional service rendered to the personality of Godhead never goes in vain. Since the personality of Godhead is eternal, intelligence applied in His service or anything done in His relation is also permanent. In the Bhagavad Gita, it is said that such transcendental service rendered unto the personality of Godhead accumulates birth after birth, and when the devotee is fully matured, the total service counted together makes him eligible to enter into the association of the personality of Godhead. Such accumulation of God's service is never vanquished, but increases till fully matured. Translation again. Intelligence engaged in my devotion cannot be thwarted at any time, even at the time of creation as well as at the time of annihilation. Your remembrance will continue by my mercy. In the lecture series on the Nectar of Devotion, that famous lecture series in 1972 in Vrindavan, Prabhupada speaks on this point, how all activities performed in devotional service, they are, they remain as an eternal asset for the one performing those activities, compared to material activities which have a beginning and an end, and whereas here specifically the word intelligence is being referred to. There's material intelligence and then there's spiritual intelligence. In the Bhagavad Gita, actually, yeah, I think at the end of the third chapter especially, there's a nice reference to how a serious, yeah, yes, yeah, the very last instructions on the karma yoga. That is text number 42, actually, I'll just read it. Indriyani paranyahur indriyebhya param manaha manasastu para buddhir yo buddhe paratastu saha. The working senses are superior to dull matter. Mind is higher than the senses. Intelligence is still higher than the mind, and he, the soul, is even higher than the intelligence. And the last text of the verse of the chapter, rather, evam buddhe param buddva samstya vyat manam atmana jahi shatrum mahabaho kamarupam durasadam. Thus, knowing oneself to be transcendental to material senses, mind, and intelligence, one should control the lower self by the higher self, and thus, by spiritual strength, conquer this insatiable enemy known as lust. So, of course, uh, the higher self refers to the spirit soul, um, but spirit soul means that uh, this material mind and this material intelligence that we have, when we apply it in devotional service, becomes transformed. It's not that in the spiritual world we don't have mind and intelligence, because mind is the seat of those three vital activities of thinking, feeling, and willing. But when we utilize our mind and our intelligence in activities of devotional service, then all of those activities of thinking, feeling, and willing, uh, as mentioned here, they gradually accumulate to the point that when one reaches a certain level, that means the level of perfection, then at that time one goes back to the spiritual world. So Prabhupada was making that point, which is being made here also, that all the activities in devotional service, of course, when they are performed without material motivation, I mean, pure activities, they have this effect of bringing, what is it? A permanent benefit for the living entity. So this is being underlined here. We see that in the example of Bharat, King Bharat, who had become attached to a deer. Yeah. So he was able, because he was engaged in activities of devotional service. Sunday, Hare Krishna. Okay, welcome. Sunday. Bienvenue. Canada is bilingual country. Okay, special offering to the Lord.
To bring a little something.
How are you this morning?
I'm a little on the warm side. I actually I almost really got in Maya and not come.
Oh.
But then I realized, no, a little bit of heat. It's not so bad. It's not much difference, a little bit of cold. It's actually in the mind.
Yes, we're talking about the mind right now, actually.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
In Canada, it goes down to minus 30, right?
In Canada, the mind is?
It goes down to minus 30. And I find that tolerable. But this, I find intolerable.
Okay.
It's in the mind.
Right. Yes.
Yeah.
Everything is in the mind. So we're reading this section where Narada Muni finally relates to Srila Vyasadeva. That was there actually in the last week when you were here, about his experience as a young boy. And then we're at the section now where he's relating, because Vyasadeva was asking that what happened after you left the association of those sadhus. And then we're precisely at that period, that point where Narada Muni, upon meditating, got darshan of the Lord, and for a very brief moment, and then that darshan, he actually saw the Lord, but that he tried to again see the Lord, but could not, and then the Lord spoke to him. So he's speaking. Krishna is speaking to Narada. In 3 or 4 verses actually. So we're in the middle of that right now. I'll just read the translation. I think this is first, second. This is the 4th text. Yeah. Okay, yeah. This is the last statement being made by the Lord himself to Narada. See, you've come at the right time. Yeah. And the text is as follows: intelligence engaged in my devotion, Krishna speaking to Narada. Intelligence engaged in my devotion cannot be thwarted at any time, even at the time of creation as well as at the time of annihilation. Your remembrance will continue by my mercy. I was recalling how in a lecture in Vrindavan, Prabhupada, when speaking on the nectar devotion, was making this most important point, that all of our activities in devotional service, they they are a permanent asset for us. Whatever advancement we are able to make is permanent, remains permanently, to the point that we make sufficient advancement that we are totally liberated, and at that time we go back to Krishna, isn't it? So this is very interesting how, as the verse is mentioning here, at the time of creation as well as at the time of annihilation, your remembrance will continue by my mercy. So, of course, we know in the case of Narada, he's like described as the eternal, what is it? Space man, right? Wandering sometimes in the spiritual world and sometimes in the material world. And whenever there is creation, he's now totally liberated soul, and therefore his primary activity actually is preaching the glories of the Lord, is preaching about the science of bhakti, of devotional service. One question comes to mind, just like I was quoting the example of Bharat Maharaj, who had attained actually, so one question that comes to mind, is there a particular stage, for example, Bharat Maharaj, who had attained the Baba stage, and because of some small attachment to that deer, he had to again take another birth as a deer, but he remembered his previous life, and he was a devotional deer. He was a deer. He was searching out Bhakta deer, deer Bhakta.
There was a devotional deer in Vrindavan.
A devotional deer in Vrindavan. I don't.
No, in New Vrindavan.
In New Vrindavan, yeah, right.
Coming into the little one, coming into the temple.
In the
evening for Arti.
A deer.
A deer, yeah, a very young one.
Yeah, young ones, right. Yeah, when they're young, they're more innocent.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, actually, So my question is there a particular stage? Is it that all those who are fortunate to attain the level of bhava, because they're not yet at prema, when they take birth again, that even at the time of creation means when they are in the womb of their mother, they are still remembering. And if they have to again leave the body, this is the experience in a lifetime that all of us are waiting for. What's going to happen when I leave this body? I've been practicing Krishna consciousness. I've been trying to practice Krishna consciousness for X number of years. I realize I'm not a pure devotee yet. So will I be able to, when I actually leave the body, I'm still there as a spirit soul. So how much of remembrance can one have depending on his level of realization? Is a question, is my question.
I have some way to approach that question.
Okay.
So here definitely what Krishna says to Narada, we can understand in two ways, specifically to him or in general way.
Okay.
You know, specifically, definitely, it is one meaning is
Clear
specific for him, for individuals that you will remember. But in the verse, there is not specifically mentioned grammatically that you will remember. The Lord start in a general way.
Okay.
And that means there are two ways to approach this question. And the beginning, what Krishna mentioned, mati, intelligence. I don't know what is really mati means. Prabhupada translate like intelligent, but could be have a specific meaning also. And also here I see that whatever mati, intelligence devoted to me, that's you will remember.
Yeah.
Not generally you will remember everything, just what you intelligently connected to devotional service. And we know we are not always connect our intelligence to the devotional activities.
Right.
We are not always conscious, focus exactly what the proper devotional service is. Sometimes we are sentimental, sometimes we just follow this mechanically. That's, I don't think it's...
So you're saying that whatever activities in devotional service have been performed using our intelligence, that will be remembered.
Yeah, I think that's...
Well, we don't actually fully understand what it means that whatever activities we perform in devotional service, I mean, generally we should understand them as being unmotivated activities in devotional service. They remain as an eternal asset for us. So, of course, in all activities, when we perform activities, our intelligence we should apply our proper intelligence. And the problem is that we have a material intelligence, and we misuse both our mind and our intelligence when we connect with things that are not spiritual. So specifically here, it mentions about the need, obviously, to connect or utilize our intelligence for engaging in devotional activities. Those will accrue benefits, spiritual benefit, which remain as our eternal asset. And then when that accumulates to the uh, topmost level, in other words, when all the time we are accustomed to properly utilizing our intelligence in Krishna's service, means when we become pure devotees, then we have no more business to be here in the material world. Right?
What about activities in devotional service that are not yet completely pure?
That is called mixed devotional service.
Yes.
Yes, we get benefit for that, but the full benefit will come when all such activities are no longer mixed, isn't it? Yeah. Just like we get credit for chanting, even we are not chanting purely. The 3 stages of chanting are described. But to become fully freed and liberated from the material world, we need to come to that level of chanting where we are totally disconnected. I mean, with matter. It's better to perform mixed devotional service than to be a karmi.
Yes.
Isn't it?
Yes.
Yes. True or not true?
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
I'm thinking that 2 verse which Krishna answered to Arjun when Arjun asked, what happens if someone is not perfected in this lifetime? And there is 2 versions of, and there's just a general understanding of 2 versions. One is getting some wealth and some good results, and the other one is really takes birth in a devotional family. And we see children how they behave in devotional family, but in Prabhupada's family, for example, there are different type of devotees to birth. Some are really looks pure, and some are looks not so pure.
Yeah.
I don't know, but or later they start to really develop some devotion after a long time.
Right.
So I think that intelligence, how we utilize the situation, that could be stored. That could be remembered. Any situations when there is some big change comes.
Yeah. Well, that's in the Bhagavad Gita. It speaks about these the lower self and the higher self. So the senses are the lower self. Higher than the senses is the mind. Higher than the mind is intelligence. And higher than intelligence, the soul. Yeah.
But the soul is sleeping.
Not when it is engaged. Not when we are engaged in devotional service.
In pure devotional service mixed.
No, in even in mixed devotional service, the soul is gradually becoming conscious.
I'm just asking.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like when we come and take darshan, we may not be pure devotees, but we're taking darshan. We cannot, pure devotees can speak to the Lord. We may not be at that level, but we are we're getting benefits from that, and it's gradually awakening um, gradually awakening the dormant spirit soul. Similar to, um, that example, very standard example of the rod being put in the fire. So if that rod is continuously in fire, it takes on gradually the qualities of that fire. So similarly, the more we are engaged in devotional activities, keeping that contact with the proper use of our intelligence, um, with the proper use of our mind, which is engaged in thinking, feeling, and willing, then that's the meaning, isn't it, of Krishnized. We become Krishnized gradually. It's a gradual process.
In Srimad Bhagavatam, we see that what is missing Gopakumar at the beginning is the intelligence.
Mm.
He have a good association. He is a pious person. He takes the process of Abhideya, but he doesn't know the prayojan
Mm.
and doesn't know how to progress. So he always meets with someone who is helping him to develop more and more spiritual intelligence.
Mm.
That's you see that four Kumaras teaching him, or before that, and Brahma teaching him, and then Narada and his spiritual master sometimes come, and step by step he gets more spiritualized, intelligent.
Yes.
So he always needs some teaching. What does it mean teaching? Not just become pure devotees. Use your intelligence. Remember.
Yes.
So I think that's the key, how we see the function of intelligence. And he's spiritual, but still he's not ready to get the real prayojan of him.
Yeah.
So the spiritual intelligence also have to, you know, advance
Increase.
by some by some abhideya jnana.
Yes.
And that, I think that's what Krishna says here, that will remain in any circumstances. Either you have to take another birth, or you are living like Gopakumar through this annihilation, and then he comes again. So it's not depend on the circumstances. That which is
So how,
spiritual intelligence, that will
how,
remain.
how so it comes to how to properly utilize our intelligence. How to properly utilize our intelligence.
That's Abhideya Jnana. That's in the field of Abhideya Jnana, which have some elements. The one is the Sankalpas, the other is the Ekagrata, and the third one is the Bhava Seva, and the fourth one is to get Kripa. So these four elements we have to utilize by our spiritual intelligence and learn about them, about these four topics, how to, which kind of sankalps I have to take for my to develop the next step. And it's different from the beginning, from the Madhyama, from the Uttama,
Yes.
and how to focus the mind, the intelligence. That's also different levels it has, different science.
The science of devotional service.
Science.
That means we have to become scientists. We have to become scientists.
Yeah, in three levels. Scientists in the Sambandha, scientists in Abhidya, scientists in Prayojan. Yeah. Why Rupa Goswami wrote this big book of Nanda Nectar Devotion? So that's
Yes.
science.
Yes.
We also can't make it too complicated. Oh, we chant, we do what Srila Prabhupada says. With faith, as much devotion and faith as we can put into
Well,
it.
Prabhupada did mention that the nectar devotion is a complete science.
It is, yes, it is a sign. But you know, when I actually read Nectar of Devotion when I'm waiting for my computer to do
Oh,
what it's supposed to do.
right.
I get impatient, so I have the Nectar of Devotion and I read it a few pages. And I've been, it is the science of devotional service,
It is.
but also I've been noticing, I'm reading the end of it now,
Okay.
how much nectar there is.
Yeah.
That, you know, so, and a lot of it intellectually doesn't make much sense.
Mm.
Some, you know, really, it doesn't make much sense on an intellectual level. Someone who's very learned, you know,
Materially.
they may not appreciate. We have to, I don't know. I think both have to be there. Both have to be there.
I think you mentioned that in a nectar devotion there are many informations, spiritual information, but for different persons.
Yeah.
And we have to have a particular goal, and then we use just that, which one is for our path, and avoid all the others to remember, to memorize, or to speak about. And that's more simple than we know our narrow path.
So we just take one portion of the nectar devotion and reject the other parts.
Not reject.
Oh.
What did you
Means,
say?
you know, it's for different persons.
For different persons.
It's a different path. Because Rupa Goswami didn't um, um, focus on one type of devotional service. He's mentioned every type of devotional service. We have for everyone.
Well,
But for example, Raghunath Das Goswami is focusing one type of devotional service. And his works are much more narrow, much more focused on one type of goal, prayojan.
well, there's a whole topic of rasa, which is a major topic in the nectar of devotion. So yes, different devotees have different uh, tendencies or qualities or natures, I guess. So
And they need to practice differently. Different association, different way. Like Gopakumar was advised, don't go down, just go down. Why? Because for his path, that was more favorable.
yes. When we get to the esoteric levels of bhakti, it can become a little delicate.
All the bhaktis esoteric, no?
Huh?
All the bhaktis esoteric.
All the levels are
Not all?
delicate. Yes, because everything that is spiritual and transcendental is of a different nature than but there you know small example, Mahaprabhu spoke on subject matters that were uh, very high, very confidential to only certain devotees. Yeah. So, uh, so there is something for everyone
Yeah.
in the nectar devotion.
Yeah. Like he didn't discuss Rasa Tattva with Sadhun Bhattacharya.
Correct.
So he was a Rasika devotee after he got the mercy, but still he
Correct.
didn't invite him to the Gambhira
Yes,
group.
yeah. Yeah. Fortunately, it's a gradual process.
No, there are some Kripa.
Well, in some rare cases,
So
it might be
people sit,
might be more quickly.
but we don't wait for that. That's why we are accepting the gradual process.
Okay.
Thank you. Were you present in Vrindavan when Prabhupada gave this series?
No,
No?
that was way back in '72. I was still in Maya.
Oh,
You might.
I was still in Maya in '72.
Oh, in
He was
72.
asking if I was present when Prabhupada. No, but I listened to those tapes quite regularly. The series of lectures on the nectar devotion that Prabhupada gave.
Oh, yes, they're very wonderful.
Yeah,
very special.
yeah. I mean, it's naturally full of nectar. Nectar devotion. Yeah.
That was the first time when he really focused on that.
Yes, and he had
Special
just a
nectar.
small group, maybe 15, 20 devotees.
We need that nectar
Yeah, of course.
to become attracted
Yes.
to Krishna.
Yes.
Otherwise, we get distracted
Saturated.
by the
Yeah.
nonsense.
Otherwise, Maya is there to attract us.
Yes, all the time.
Correct. Okay. Jai Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki.
Yeah.
Try.
Jai